and 2 of them fell into a deep hole. It was so deep they couldn't jump out, but they tried very hard. After watching for a while, the ones on top started telling them to give up and die. One listened to them and did die. The other one just kept on trying as hard as he could. And finally he gave a big leap and landed on top. What was the difference in their faith? The one who made it out was deaf. He couldn't hear what the other frogs were telling him to do. And point number 1 that I want to make, we need to be careful who we are listening to and what they're saying to us. Paul said in the Galatians letter 1 and verses 8 and 9, though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which you have heard, let him be accursed. That would be verse 8, and it's emphasized again in verse 9. And point number 2 is never give up because something seems hard or difficult. Because in 2 Timothy 3 and 12, it says, yes, and all who desire to live godly in Christ Jesus will suffer persecution. And I think Paul is a great example of this. One who suffered tremendously, but he never gave up. And no matter what difficulty that we have to endure while we're here, it is small in comparison to what Jesus has done for us. And we should never give up because help is available. In James 4 and verse 7 it says, therefore submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. If we'll do the first part of that verse, it will enable us to do the latter part. And also in James 4 and 10, it says, humble yourselves in the sight of God, in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up. And Ray, if you would lead us in
I had a word on that touched me when you said it. The part about that he suffered everything we ever will. That used to bother me. I really at times would say, Christ never went through everything I mean, how can you make the statement that he knows every one of our sorrow? I mean, I knew by faith it was true, but I couldn't grasp it in my heart and my soul. And I was going through some problems at the rig with personnel from upper management one time. And they were falsely accusing me of some pretty bad things dealing with the well. And I was feeling a pity party, and I was praying that time, and I was really upset. And I was saying, Lord, what in the world? What do I do? I mean, I know that I'm guiltless of this. I laid down on the couch catching a nap, and while I was laying there, it was such a peace that came over me. And it was just like God was telling me, the Spirit was telling me in my heart, now you understand what I felt like standing in front of Pilate. I've never forgot that. When we went to Israel, one of the biggest thrills I had was we went into the room that they know was Pilate's courtroom. And that all came back. And I wept. And it was just like, what did we ever go through that he hasn't already experienced? And that goes with what you said. I've never forgot that. It was just so real that we can't do anything, say anything that Christ doesn't understand. And that's hard for us to grasp, where it was for me. And maybe it's not for you, but it was for me until the Lord let me see just a small fraction of what it would be like to be ridiculed like he was. Yeah, he was ridiculed by his own people, a whole nation. We had maybe 3 or 4 people that ridiculed us at the time. And that's very meaningful part of it really is, because it's
and you know, it doesn't matter how much we suffer here. It's small in comparison to what the glory will be in heaven, and the peace and the rest, and no sorrow, suffering, no pain, no crying. So if we'll look forward to the goal, like Paul did, when he said he had finished the course and he kept the faith, we can someday,
Experience that.
be rid of this, because we're only here a short time. And it says too, that Jesus was tempted in all points like as we are, yet without sin. So he knows what we're going through, and he will help us if we'll ask him. Anyone else want to comment?
I just remember Isaiah 53, the prophecy, referring to Jesus, where it said he was led like a lamb to the slaughter and opened up not his mouth. And he was a man acquainted with grief.